Well, we have plenty to talk about with this guy, Jacob Warren, joining us on the Vol Report with Jacob Warren, brought to you by Campbell, Cunningham, Taylor, and Hahn. Jacob working with a former Vol, going to tell us about some current Vols, going to look back at his latest game and his last game as a Vol, the Citrus Bowl, in which Tennessee looked so fantastic.
Yep.
And Jacob, would you prefer VFL or former Vol?
um, man, I don't know. I haven't decided yet. We'll let it just kind of chill for a little bit. Maybe VFL. I like VFL. I don't mind that.
I've had several players over the years that after they graduated, I say former Vol, and they look at me like, well, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah,
Does it still sound weird to you when you hear former Vol Jacob Warren?
it does. Yeah, it does. I think I'm gonna have to go change my my bios on social media here in a little bit. All of them say tight end at University of Tennessee, and that's just not the case anymore. But definitely, maybe switch it to VFL number 87 or something. We'll see.
I like it. I want to ask you about that Citrus Bowl as you guys, wow, took care of business,
Yeah.
and also people love to hear about Nico. You know that, but first, you're working with a former Vol that I hold in the highest of esteem. But he was only a Vol for about a month before he went to Marshall,
Right.
turned in an incredible NFL career, really got his life on the right path, even younger than you are now.
Mhm.
And it's Lee Smith who played at Central and Powell High School for those that are in Knoxville. And like I said, I've got so much respect for Lee Smith and what he's done. And that's who you're working out with now, who played tight end as well. How did that relationship come about?
Yeah. So Lee obviously had his time in the NFL, and you kind of know who he is. You kind of heard of him before or whatever. But comes back to town. My mom actually saw a post on Twitter or maybe Instagram or something that former NFL player and local guy was opening a gym, and so I look into it and see kind of what he's all about. The gym's called Triple F, so Faith Family Football, right? So these things are truly the core values of kind of what they're doing, and um, just from the videos and things that I had seen, he seemed like a nice guy, right? Seemed like a good guy, someone that I would like to be around and associate myself with. So I just reached out to him and I said, "Hey, I know you probably don't know me, but you seem like the type of person that first of all, just completely honest, can help me a lot, right? Can help me grow, can help me, reach the things that I want to reach, but also I just kind of want to be around, right? I just kind of want to be mentored and learn what I can from you about the game, about life, about work, working out, lifting weights, all these things about NFL, just everything." So he reached out to me pretty quickly and was just like, "Dude, literally anything that I can do for you, come work out with me, come just hang out. If you want to come get dinner with us, like whatever you need, like I'm here for you." And ever since day one, truly, I felt that way. I think that it's pretty cool how we're totally different, not totally different, right? But we're very different people, and he's a loud dude, and I'm pretty chill, and whatever. He's loud. I'm not the loudest person. I don't know. We're very different, but we get along really well, and I respect him a lot for just kind of who he is, to the community for sure, but to me as well.
Well, and he made some changes. He's not as wild as he once was. So he may be loud, but the fact that you all played the same position too, he played tight end and he played in the league for 11 years. The position has changed a lot in that decade. So he since he just recently retired, he knows how the position has evolved. I would imagine that's a great advantage using him to work out with.
100%. And granted, he was a very unique type of player, a unique tight end. I mean, for those that have ever seen him, he's 6'6" and a half, 6'7", 280 pounds, right? Is what he played at, probably pushing 300 pounds now, right? Just a massive man, and what he was able to do in the core, just blocking wise, run blocking, pass blocking. Like, nobody was as good as him. Purely like across the board, no one was as good as him. If you watch the film, just manhandling people, right? Taking care of business, right? That was his identity. That's his role, and something that he identified pretty quickly. He's like, I'm not going to be the Kyle Pitts wasn't around at the time, but he's not going to be the Kyle Pitts. He's not going to be the Travis Kelsey's, whatever. And man, just truly carved out a role for himself. Playing on a few different teams, and money's not everything, but made a lot of money. He was really, really successful, at what he did. Um, I know he had a big impact on a lot of people too in his time there. If you go to his gym now, he's got, man, 50, probably 50 jerseys up on the wall of guys that have, you know, he's, either swapped jerseys with or whatever, just people that have had an impact on him in his life. And it's cool to look up there to see how many people, appreciate him and like him enough to give him a jersey for him to put up on his wall. Right. So I don't know. He's truly a role model for me. And man, he's been everywhere that I want to be. So I'm gonna follow follow his direction, follow his lead, listen to everything he's saying.
No doubt about it. I want to get to that Citrus Bowl and also the tight end position without two superstars like Jacob Warren and McAllen Castles. Tennessee has to rebuild at that position. First, please hit that like and subscribe button. We greatly appreciate that. Turn your notifications on so you can hear more from Jacob, the Vol Report with Jacob Warren, and the Vol Report with Cooper Mays as well. So take me back to that Citrus Bowl prep. You're going through it, and I'll be honest with you. I wondered if you guys would have the same oomph since the season didn't play out as it did,
Sure.
or as you had hoped.
Yeah.
Excuse
Yeah.
me.
For sure.
But you had the oomph in that game. What does that say about the program?
Um, first of all, I think there's a couple of different elements to it. Is yeah, it doesn't have, it didn't necessarily have the season that everybody wanted, right? Everybody kind of expected, but still had a good year, right? Still had
Mhm.
a very solid year and beat some good teams, and lost a couple games that could have won, but overall, man, had a good year, and we were happy and proud of how he played, and that was something I guess to depending on where you looked at it, that could give you some confidence, right? We ended up getting probably the best bowl we could have gotten in the Citrus Bowl. It was an amazing bowl. We had a great time. Obviously, played against really good competition in Iowa, who has I don't know exactly the numbers. Everybody's talking about top five defense, right? I know they're top five in a couple of different categories. I don't know about all of them, but
They didn't look it when you all played them.
man, and that's the thing is you have the opportunity to go out there and truly kind of silence the talk about whatever you want to say. So I think we were able to rally, we were able to get motivated to go play. Also, it was really cool how everybody was able to rally around the young guy, right? Rally around Nico and just kind of be ready to go play with him. I know I was excited to get to play with him, right? Not that I didn't want to play with Joe or whatever, but I think it's cool that you know I've always thought about what it's going to be like with Nico playing all that stuff, and so now it was really cool that I got the opportunity to actually get on the field with him and see how he was as a player in a game environment. And obviously, man, the kid did really well, and super proud of him, and just happy we were able to go out there and I guess perform the way we did.
Yeah, you performed really well, and so did he. So let me ask you about Nico. The Ball Report with Jacob Warren is brought to you by Doctors Campbell, Cunningham, Taylor, and Hahn. Look at me, no contacts, no glasses. They do cataract surgery as well. I had LASIK, and they will certainly take care of you. And they're local. That is big time. Doctors Campbell, Cunningham, Taylor, and Hahn bring you the Ball Report with Jacob Warren. What was Nico like before the game? Were there any nerves? I mean, I know he had played before, but there's a
Yeah,
difference between garbage time and starting, right?
sure. Yeah, I've been roommates with Nico on the road pretty much this whole time, um, and it was cool because I was with him all week in the room and everything, and he was going to bed on time and make sure he was eating enough and doing all these things that he should be doing, right? But you kind of wonder whether it's kind of that important to a kid, especially as a freshman. But man, never got a glimpse or an idea that he wasn't ready. Um, the GAs for the quarterbacks was in our room multiple times during the week doing signal reviews and going over plays and um, you know trying to help him with his checks or whatever it may be. And he's calling out like, okay, it's this play, that's the read. Like if this safety's doing this, I'm playing backside, and the backup Gaston Moore was in there with us too, just hanging out. And so, it was no surprise that he went out there and played as well as he did because I watched him all week prepare, the right way, do the things the right way to be able to go out there and be be successful. One thing I was really happy with too was when we were actually playing, right? Just his poise and his confidence. Um, he never had those, big wide eyes like he was scared of anything or nothing. He was out there commanding the huddle, and there's some things here and there that you kind of have to be like, hey, like this is kind of how it goes, like whatever. If you see the offensive lineman kind of getting tired, like make sure we're encouraging them to get up on the line of scrimmage, play with tempo, like push the tempo. It's on you to lead everybody. Just kind of reminding him here and there about those things. But man, he went out there and balled out and had man the most confidence in the world, and it was cool to be able to be a part of it.
Was you said he wasn't wide-eyed. Was there a moment early in the game that you thought to yourself, "This guy's got it. We're fine." I know you weren't worried going in, but it is still first. Was there a moment early in?
Um, I don't know. I wouldn't say if there was like an exact moment, but I know obviously he ends up rushing for one, and I'm sure that probably helped settle some of the nerves, right, about him scoring. Golly, I'm struggling with this light right now. Sorry, guys. There we go. But yeah, um, but dude, it was cool because he got hit a couple times, right, and took a few hits, and there was some penalties, there was some adversity that definitely we faced early on in that game and pretty much throughout the game. I mean, it was cool to see him kind of just bounce up, right? He'd take a hit, take a shot, whatever, get sacked. He'd bounce up, pat the guys on the back, and we're running off. Like, not like nothing happened, right? But his ability to handle stuff like that, I think, was really, really big. And that kind of showed me, like, yeah, he's ready to play. He didn't turn around, didn't blame anybody. He wasn't upset. He just kind of just said, look, man, it happens. And obviously, he'd prefer it not to happen. But the way he handled just everything was really good.
If you guys hadn't have had Joe, and it was incredible to have that bridge between Hendon, Booker, and then Nico. How soon do you think Nico would have been ready to play in a college football game, an SEC football game?
Yeah, there's no talent. Honestly, I don't know if he would have had the same performance, first game. Like obviously, I doubt it, right? You don't you want to believe that he's developed and grown a lot as the seasons went on, and he has, right? He definitely has. But like you said, I mean, the minutes that you get at the end of a Virginia game or a UTSA or a game like that aren't quite the same as going out there against a top five defense, starting drive for a bowl game. You know what I mean? For a big bowl, like can't really necessarily prepare for that. But no, I think that he definitely has gotten better as the season's gone on, and was in a much better place at the end of the season to actually start that game than he would have been. I mean, if he had started the first game, I'd say.
You definitely you're going to be an NFL star, so you can't gamble. So I don't want you to do that. But
Right.
did you know? Well, you actually can gamble in other sports, but don't do it. Okay, but did you know there are odds on him to win the Heisman Trophy, and they're really not that far fetched?
I know that. Yeah, I saw that the other day about some on Twitter about how he was, something to one to win it, which man is insane. But it's not too far out, honestly. Being totally honest, and like just he's a baller, man. He's a gamer, and I think that there's so much hype around him that he's going to go out there and have a great season, and people will, I'm sure, be more than happy to put him in contention for that. So we'll see. We'll see how he handles this offseason. We'll see kind of how he comes back and get the guys around him to go make a lot of plays, and he'll be just fine.
Yeah. My co-host Caleb Calhoun is already gambling that he wins the Heisman. So I'm with all that hype, and I'm part of it. I
Okay.
admit.
Yeah.
With all that hype, how sure are you, and why will that not overwhelm him?
Just because I think that it's been how he's been perceived for the last 2-3 years, right? Ever since he really started getting recruited, the kid's been top of all the lists. Obviously, everybody wants to talk about NIL. Everybody knows exactly, what I mean, exactly what's going on with all that. Like, there's been a lot of pressure on him already. There's been a lot of talk about him already, a lot of hype around him already. Like I said, I think the way he handled the first start was really big. The amount of confidence and focus that he had, not letting that big of a moment get to his head, but just being able to settle down. I think that that's going to be big for him because, like you said, I mean that is high expectation, right? For them to be projecting you to be a Heisman candidate, weeks after the season ended and you've only started one game, right? I think that's a lot of pressure to put on a kid. But to be honest, I don't think he probably even particularly cares to look at all that stuff. So I don't know. I think he'll be just fine.
Okay, so if I made you bet that first NFL paycheck that he's going to end up in New York at some point during his career in the Heisman ceremony, would you
Yeah.
would you say yay?
If you give me odds, what are the odds on it? What is he, like a 1 to what?
I'm gonna go even up on you that he makes it as a finalist, like Hendon Hooker should have had it not been for the injury. That he's in New York, not necessarily winning it, but
Mhm.
when in the next 2 years, I'm giving you 2 years too.
Yeah. First game check, first NFL check on that is a little crazy. First of all, I don't know if everybody knows how much those game checks are, but I'd put a couple dollars on
I bet you would. Who's the next Jacob Warren
it.
on Tennessee's roster?
Well, first of all, there will never be
You're
another Jacob.
preaching to the choir.
I'm just joking, man. You know that. Man, we're gonna have some good kids in that room. They've done a really good job in the portal this offseason. Obviously, got um, Holden right from Notre Dame, but just got this kid from Alabama who's a really big kid and will do a great job in the box of blocking and making space and all that stuff. And also, I'm sure is plenty capable on the perimeter. Man, you still have guys like Ethan Davis, right? Ethan Davis is going to be extremely talented. Again, another big piece of his game will be this offseason and how much he's able to grow and develop and continue to put on good weight and trust his knowledge, trust everything about just playing the game. But that room's going to be great, and they'll be just fine. They are losing three guys and three pretty important pieces of that puzzle that was last year's season. But great thing about it is next year is not last year, so they'll get those guys coached up and everybody will be ready to play, and I'll be excited to watch. I'll be excited to come back and see how they're doing, all those things. But yeah, I think they'll be just fine, truthfully.
An NFL scout took a look at Ethan for me way back when he committed and
Yeah,
said that he's kind of like an Antonio Gates, which may be a little bit before your time, but
yeah,
was it you remember Gates? Okay, sometimes I forget how old I am.
yeah.
But or how young you are.
There you go.
Yes. So with and that the comparison was Gates was a basketball player and he turned into a very athletic tight end.
For
Do
sure.
you, do you see that?
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I thought you were going to ask more. Yes, I do, man, and I think that's what helps him so much is his. We do things like top of the route stuff, right? Just details and how you're getting in and out of your breaks and everything like that. You can tell that the kid is extremely good at basketball just by the way that he moves his hips and that he moves his shoulders and head fit. Like it looks like almost he's doing like a crossover right at the top of the key. He's like making a basketball move, and just his athletic ability is pretty insane, and just the way he elevates, the way he can track the ball. Like there's a lot of really cool things that he can do that I won't say I can't do, but it would be much harder for me to do, right? Just with how athletic he is and just kind of the natural twitch and just everything that he's got. So yeah, I would say that's a fair comparison. Honestly, I think he will make a lot of plays purely just based on how good he was at basketball. Right? Can he elevate and go get that rebound? Right now it's not a rebound; it's a jump ball in the end zone, whatever. So yeah, I definitely think that's a fair comparison.
Yeah, it's like me. I'm not going to say I can't bench 300 pounds, but I'm not going to try it either. So we don't know for sure.
No one will ever know, right?
That's exactly right.
Especially you,
Uh,
Dave,
it's more about reps at my age. If there's anything that Ethan specifically needs to work on, you feel like in the off season to kind of live up to the billing, what do you think it might be? What's the next evolution?
And I would tell him to his face, and he knows this, and he would probably tell you too. He just needs to get bigger, stronger, faster. Man, it's the same thing that pretty much every freshman I've ever been around, and even myself, the same thing I went through for multiple years. Bigger, stronger, faster. You can never be strong enough. You can never be big enough. You can just it's only going to help, right? I think if you do it the right way, a couple extra pounds would help him in the core, but also help him be more powerful on the perimeter, not getting held, and being able to separate from guys, whatever it may be. So yeah, just truly committing to the weight room and looking like a totally different dude when he comes back, and just like, "Oh wow, dude, you put on some weight," and he could be really proud and confident in how far he's grown.
Yeah. Well, if I see him, I'll just tell him, "Hey, you put on some weight."
Yeah,
Even
he'd
if
love it. Even if he hasn't, yeah, he'd love it.
the Vol Report with Jacob Warren, brought to you by Doctors Campbell, Cunningham, Taylor, and Hahn. I tell you what, you can enjoy life better when you see better. This has been a presentation of Off the Hook Sports.